Good day, everyone. This is Sydney Lefofe of SL Podcast. I'm very excited again today to be sharing information with you, the information that is meant to change your life and make you better. We are on another important topic today, the different kinds of realities. There are different kinds of realities. The things we see with our eyes and the things that we perceive with our senses. There are also things we can't see with our eyes or we can't perceive with our senses. Many people don't learn much. They operate mostly on the things they can see or perceive. Many people operate with half-truths and obscured visions because they process everything on the things they see or perceive. We blow things out of proportion most of the time because we are led or we are guided by how we feel or how we perceive things or the things we see which are happening around us. And in most cases, we end up blowing things out of proportion instead of processing them better with more information. We tend to see trouble everywhere. When we operate or we see things that are happening, in most cases, we blow things out of proportion and we see them as big and troublesome and the things that are going to destroy us, even though in reality, it is not always like that. If only we had a glimpse of our lives or different kinds of realities, we'll do things differently, we'll act differently, and we'll make decisions differently, basing on the wide variety of realities that are in existence. And we are going to learn from one of our learned friends. This time around, we are learning from John Perry, who is a professor emeritus of philosophy. He talked about realities that come in many levels, and each level have different kinds of properties. We need to learn that there are different levels of realities, and if we are going to be able to live better, we need to understand that there are many things which are inoperational. Some we can see, some we cannot see. And the first thing he talked about was the things that we can perceive with our bodies. Things like our bodies, things like the chairs and the tables we see. This is the reality that many people operate with, and they make decisions based on what they see. And there's another reality which he talked about, the quantum reality. The quantum reality is the things that we can't see with our eyes. We're talking particles which have different properties. They can spin, they can do a lot of things. We can't see with our eyes, and most people don't believe in things they don't see with their eyes. There are things like force of gravity which act on us. Every time we see leaves or tree leaves, they fall down when they are cut from trees. Everything that goes up comes down because of the force of gravity which act on them. We can't see that. We can't feel that with our bodies, but it is there. And it has been discovered that the ordinary pen that we use on a day-to-day basis, writing, it cannot write when you go to the moon because force of gravity act on the ink. for the pen to work. These are the realities that we need to be cognizant of because they are there and they are operational on a day-to-day basis. John Perry continued to talk about the higher levels of realities, talking about the minds or the paradigms of societies and nations. There is another reality which is there. How people process information, how people see things, and how people make decisions. And these things vary and differ from person to person, from nation to nation, or from society to society. Because everybody has their own realities, how they see life and how they perceive things. John Perry continued to talk about the other reality, which is the infinite spiritual world or the spiritual realm. And he talked about angels, he talked about God. That is another reality. We have the other reality of spirituality, which act on us, whether we like it or we don't like it. Spirituality will always work on us. And these are different kinds of realities, according to John Perry. In finance and accounting, Corporate Finance Institute posited, or they shared something which is very profound that we can learn from. Banks and other lending institutions use lending or qualifying ratios to determine the credit worthiness of individuals or institutions when they have to give them loans. The ratios help to define whether individuals or institutions borrowing from the banks can fulfill the financial obligation after obtaining the loan. This is very important, and this is what lending institutions use to determine whether they should give you a loan or they should reject the proposal. Even after the robust analysis, it has been open information that around 80% of the funded loans or the funded projects fail within the first 3 years of operation. Because in actual fact, the projections and the actuals, when the business is now operational, they are different. And we need to be aware that there is a reality of what we perceived, and there is a reality of now when we have to be operating as a business. In most cases, we panic and we get ourselves worked up when we are faced up with reality of now seeing the actual business or the actual project in operation. When now we come to the reality of the actual numbers, a lot of people panic and a lot of people end up making mistakes, which lead to businesses closing. And most of the businesses that end up closing, I personally believe they were not given enough attention and enough support by the leadership and the owners to make sure they come to fruition or they can be successful. Mostly people panic and they focus on the problems they see, which lead them into more and more problems. Every time we are faced with reality of any kind, there is a problem that we can see, which we don't need to focus on. We can rather focus on the solutions. Most people focus on the problems, but other people or successful people tend to focus more on finding solutions. If we are going to focus on the problem, we are going to see that we are wasting energy and we are getting ourselves worked up every time by repeating the problem over and over. And such brooding can leave you exhausted from fear and from worry and prevent you from taking decisive actions. We need to be aware of this thing. If we brood or we think too much on the problem, it is going to wear us out. We are going to be afraid more. And this thing is not going to work for us because the reality is going to set in and the numbers can go bad each day. And whenever they go bad and you concentrate on them, you are going to be afraid and you are going to be exhausted. The worry is going to wear you out. Your mind can only give full attention to one thing at a time. Whatever you concentrate on, your mind can only give attention to that. And if you focus on the problem, negative thoughts can overtake you more readily. We need to be aware that if we are going to focus more on the problems, negative thoughts or negativity is going to overwhelm you. And you can't process positive thoughts and negative thoughts at the same time. It is not possible. You need to choose one thing and focus on it. And the more you focus on something, you can either fail by being overcome by fear and worry, or you can either succeed because now you are coming up with better solutions. Fear and self-doubt and worry may prevent you from moving forward and dealing with the issue at hand. It is very important for us to concentrate not on the problem, because now we know and we realize that our concentration on the problem will wear us out. We are going to doubt ourselves. We are going to doubt the business. We are going to doubt the activities because we are concentrating on what we see, which is negative. The more you brood, the larger your problem becomes. The more you think about the problem, they become larger in your head and they will paralyze you. You can't keep brooding or thinking or processing the problem and expect to see different results. It cannot happen. Problems get bigger because we think about them and we talk about them more than we talk about the solutions that can improve our situations. But if we can focus on the solution, you actively engage your mind in resolving the matter. Concentrating on the solutions will help you to come up with solutions. The more we think about the solutions, the more our brains will start working and process better ways to deal with the problem at hand. And the more we do that, we are going to see with time an improvement. It doesn't matter what kind of problem we are faced with. Every time we need to focus on coming up with solutions instead of focusing on the problem itself. As a result, you have little time for negative thinking when you are more inclined to solutions. The only thing that matters is resolving the problem. That is very important for us. We need to keep focusing on solutions. Your problems are going to diminish with time. They are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller when we come up with solutions. In business and in life, problems don't resolve themselves. we need to be aware of that. Problems come and they won't resolve themselves. They will need our effort. They will need us to deal with them and to come up with solutions. And at the end of the day, we can resolve our problems and get to success or live the lives we envision or we want. And it is unwise to expect others to solve our problems. In most cases, whenever we are faced up with problems, we look to other people to solve our problems. We look to the government, we look to different kinds of external forces. But in most cases, solutions to our problems are within us, and we are the only people who can extensively solve our problems. If we can concentrate on the problem like most people do, we are going to fail and we are going to succumb to the pressures that come with problems. But if we are going to focus on the solutions, we are definitely going to solve our problems. As a business owner, the responsibility for finding a solution falls on you. It is very important. As a business owner, we need to know the solutions are dependent on what you do or how you process the whole thing. And even in our personal lives, whatever comes our way, we need to know it is our responsibility, and we can only get to the solutions when we process things differently. This means you are more likely to get the outcome you want as you influence events with your actions and choices. We need to be aware of this thing, and it is very important for us to understand the outcomes of our lives, the outcomes of our businesses are totally dependent on us. What we do, the actions we take, and the choices we make. And people who concentrate much on the solutions, they will definitely come up with better actions. And for example, they will market more and get more clients. And more clients means more income. And the business can be sustained when there is more business. The problems we are faced up with, or the problems we face every day, they are equal to opportunities. Each time you resolve a problem, you gain valuable experience. It is very important for us to understand that. And we should love to solve problems. The moment you solve a problem, you gain experience. You become better by solving problems. Most people get worse because they don't want to solve problems. Instead, they come up with excuses why things are not going the way they want. But in most cases, we need to be aware of this. The more problems we solve, the better we are going to become, or we are going to be better at getting solutions when we solve problems. There are more problems. The more problems you resolve, the more confidence you have. It is very important for us to understand this thing. We get confidence in solving problems. If you solve one problem, you'll be confident enough to solve another one. And you solve another one, and another one, and another one. At the end of the day, problems are not going to scare you the way they used to scare you. You're not going to be intimidated anymore because you are a problem solver. Even when greater problems come your way, you are not going to be daunted by them. After all, you know, I have defeated one problem after another. So even if problems can come, I'll be able to deal with them and resolve them. This is how we are supposed to live our lives. This is how we are supposed to perceive different kinds of realities. Whatever come our way, we should be able to face it, come up with solutions, beat it, and then we continue. When the figures in business are not adding up, come up with solutions. What can we improve? What can we add in our business? What can we cut in terms of working capital? In doing all those things, we are resolving our problems. And the more we are committed to our new ways of doing things, we know for sure we are going to beat the problem and we are going to see an improvement. We saw in time past many businesses which were going under. The most recent one was Nissan. Nissan overturned their shortfalls, and now they are a profitable company. And the most recent one, which was scary, was FC Barcelona, and we see that now they are processing things differently and they are improving. Instead of focusing on the big debt that was available, they are coming up with solutions. And it's just a matter of time. They're going to be back to where they belong because they are not focusing on problems. They are focusing on coming up with solutions. In concluding, learning to focus on the solution and not the problem can change your life and your business. We need to learn to focus more on coming up with solutions. It is very important. It is imperative. It is critical. We cannot limit ourselves by always focusing on the problem. And the more we think about problems, like we said, they are going to grow and become bigger and overwhelm us. We can do this, we can overcome, we can be successful. Successful people understand this principle. Everyone you see who is successful, any business which is successful, they have come to understand this. They are always processing solutions and how they can improve and advance the businesses. While the business that are going under or they are failing, in most cases they are concentrating much on the problems, on the competition, on what is going wrong. And these things will overwhelm you. You can't do both. You can't process both. You can't process concentrating on the problems and also trying to come up with solutions. It is not possible. Our minds can only process one thing at a time. Don't let the problems overwhelm you. Learn to focus on the solutions instead and use your time and energy more productively. It is very important for us to make choices. Every time a reality arises, we need to process it correctly. Instead of focusing on the problems that come with the reality, we can concentrate on the other reality of solutions. Solutions are far-fetched sometimes, but they are real also. So there are other people who manage to beat the odds, solve the problems, and they succeeded. It is real. As much as what we see and what we feel is real, solutions are real also. It is another reality that we can get to. We need to process things differently. We can do this. We can be successful if we can process things differently, concentrating on solutions and not taking our time pondering and brooding on problems. We can do this, we can get better, we can improve, and we can succeed. Our businesses can go over and succeed instead of going under and fail. The choice is ours. We can decide to close the business or we can decide to give it a chance and make it successful. Thank you.